Hi! Today I'm going to be making something that not only do I love to eat, but I get asked about quite a lot. I'm making Gyoza Dumplings, so little Japanese dumplings. I do get asked how to make them, if I will make them, please make them, quite a lot. So it's a bit more, there's few more different methods to it than some of the other videos that I've done before, but they are quite simple really, and they are super tasty and nourish. So I'm going to make the dough first, because you need to let the dough rest in the fridge for an hour. So we'll get on with that first. All we need for that is some plain flour and that's 300 grams of plain flour, a teaspoon of salt, some sesame oil and some boiling hot water, and then stuff to mix it. So basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to add my flour and my salt in here. Now you might not use, you better adding the water gradually than adding it all in at once, because you might not need it all. I'm going to put a tablespoon of sesame oil in. And then I'm gonna add like half of my water, I think, and I'll mix that in and I'll see if it's gonna need more or not. So just remember, use something to mix this straight away, because you need to use boiling water straight out of the kettle. And just mix it together, and we're just gonna form a dough, a really simple dough, and then let that rest, and then we'll go on to the filling and make the filling. Water. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get it out onto the work surface and finish mixing it. Just remember the water's hot, so it is a warm dough. And then I'm just going to get a little bit of flour out. And knead it into the flour. So it's not a dough that takes a huge amount of work, you just need to work it a little bit. You're not going to be 10 minutes kneading it or anything. Just until it feels a lot smoother in your hand and you can know all the lumps of flour are all mixed in well. That should do it really. It's not particularly sticky, it's nice and soft. Kind of feels a bit like Play-Doh when it's at this stage. So then all I'm going to do with that then is I'm going to try and flatten it out a little bit. I'm going to wrap it in cling film and I'm going to leave it in the fridge for an hour, which gives me time to get the filling all cooked and ready. And then we'll get onto the filling, and then I'll show you how to make the dumplings up and cook them. And that's it. So it goes into the fridge. So this stage we're going to just make the filling and then cook that off and let that cool before we then add it into the dumplings. The dough that I've made, that makes between 30 and 40 dumplings depending on the size you make them. You think like it sounds loads, and then you start eating them and you're like, why didn't I make more? But you're only putting a teaspoon of the filling into each dumpling. I am making vegetarian ones because my partner's veggie and I don't want to have to make two different batches. So I've got some vegetarian mince, I've got some garlic and some ginger chopped up already. I've got some cabbage, some red onion, some spring onion, coriander, which I'll chop and put in right at the end. I'm going to add a bit of lime zest and lime juice. I've got a bit of Chinese spice, some crushed chilies, some soy sauce and some sesame oil. I'm going to just start with the sesame oil in a hot pan. Now if you don't cook the filling beforehand, you're not going to get as much flavour out of the garlic and ginger, because they don't actually take very long to cook once they're in the dumpling, so you want to make sure you're cooking off your filling beforehand. So garlic and ginger in. Now the garlic and ginger won't take very long because you don't want it to burn, so just give that a wee start off in the oil. And then we'll add the mince and the other veggies. I love the smell of garlic and ginger cooking, it's just nice. And then I'm going to throw in, I've got some really finely cut cabbage, some finely diced red onion and some finely sliced spring onions. And then you can do that, I've made like pork mince ones are really good. Chicken, just dice up your chicken really small when it's raw and then cook that first and then add all the rest of your stuff to it. Beef mince works fine, you can do prawn, they're really tasty. Just vegetable ones, you don't need to add the veggie mince if you don't want, you can just make them plain veggie. You can put whatever you want in them, it doesn't matter too much, but the more like the cabbage and stuff is more similar to what you would get if you went into an order of in a restaurant. So let's get wild. I'm just going to throw in my veggie mince. And then we're just going to let that cook. I'm going to add a pinch of salt. So I'm going to add too much salt because I'm going to put soy salt in this, so I don't want to add too much salt. And some pepper. One of these, there we go. Now this is where all your flavours coming from, so the more flavour you get into this stage, the tastier your dumplings are going to be. If you don't get a lot of flavour in them, they're just going to be really plain. So just want to let that cook away. I'm going to add some chilli flakes. And I'm going to add just a touch of Chinese spice. Slightly away, so I'll let that cook, especially if you've got the, if you're doing like chicken ones or pork, you want to make sure that your pork's really fully cooked through and your chicken's fully cooked through. Make sure you're not getting ill. So once everything's sweated off a bit more and it's a bit soft, I'm going to add in some lime zest. You could use lemon zest as well, it'll be fine. And I'm going to just add a little bit of lime juice. And then I'm going to add a splash of soy sauce. And then I'm going to just chop up some coriander and chuck that in right at the end, and then we're just going to take it off the heat and then let that cool, ready to go in the dumplings once the dough's ready to go. And that's it, ready. Filling is ready to go. It's got a lot of nice colour in it, and really tasty. That's that section done. Okay, so now we're on to making the actual dumplings up. My dough's been in the fridge resting. It's nice and soft but cool. It's a little sticky, so I'm just going to give it a bit of a kneading some flour. Oh, that's good. It's really nice and soft dough. It's lovely to feel. Just a little bit of flour. Okay, and I've got my mixture here that's cooled down, so it's nice and cool as well. So now what I'm going to do is there's a couple of different ways you can do this. You can roll the whole thing out and get a cookie cutter, a round cookie cutter, and cut out circles and then do it that way. What I tend to do, and it's just out of habit, it's just kind of sort of taught myself to do them, roll some out and then I cut them into evenly sized balls. Now, I have not yet mastered the most perfect way of shaping dumplings by hand. They're quite tricky to do. I've watched videos and videos of people doing them and how quickly they just, it's quite complicated. So I've got a couple of different methods of showing you just now that I'm going to show you. I'm just going to do a few because otherwise we'll be here all day watching me make dumplings. So you just want to roll it out as thin as you can get it and as round as you can. Keep it far on your surface so it doesn't stick. It's not particularly round, but that'll do as nicely. Just reshape it in your hand. And then a teaspoon of your filling. And then what you want to do is, just with your finger, just in some water, go around. And then it's quite a tricky method, so you kind of definitely watch a video for this. So you want to kind of grab it and pull it back. And I'll show you why I don't always use this method when I've finished this one, because it does not look so good. And you kind of want to pinch it along so it's all sealed. And there we go. It's not a very good one. I'll try another one. And then I'll show you what I actually bought to make this job a lot quicker and easier for myself when I make dumplings. Because you're making quite a lot, this way can be really time consuming. And it takes a lot of practice to get them in a really nice crimp. I've seen people doing them in seconds and it's quite impressive really. Okay, so a spoonful of the filling. And then water around the edge. And then pick it up. So you kind of pinch at the end and then you are folding it in your thumb and your finger to crimp it along. Again, it's not the most beautiful of dumpling, but so what you can do is because that is quite tricky, just get your dough, same way again, just roll it out. Leave it fill in. Same again with the water around the edge, just keeps it nice and sticky. You can do it this way, so then fold it over, press it down, and then you can just do it with a fork. So you got a nice fork on, there you go. Or I bought one of these, so this is a dumpling press that I bought, so this makes life so much easier and quicker. I can get this done a lot quicker using one of these presses. That cost me, I think it was like £2. I ordered it from Wish and got it for £2 and it's made my life 10 million times easier when I go to make dumplings. So what I do with this one is basically just the same, but what I use the back for is a wee press. Take off the excess. Lay it down in the press. Water on the edge. And then spoonful of filling in the middle. Tiny wee bit more. And then press it together. And it makes a lovely, lovely dumpling. So keep practicing other ones. I'll do a few more of the ones where they're made by hand because I need to practice as well. But then that's it. We just keep going until you're all done. And honestly, don't worry about what the shape of them is. It's not the end of the world. It's what they taste like when you eat them that matters. So don't worry about it too much. But practice, and then eventually you'll be able to make beautiful, beautiful dumplings. And I'm just going to keep going until these are all done, and then we will cook them. Okay, so the last stage is cooking them, obviously. So here are the dumplings I've finished. I've done some that I've done them by hand, and I've done some that I've done with the dumpling press. And we're just going to cook them. So all you need for this is you need a non-stick pan really that's got a kind of deep edging, because you are going to add some water to this as well. and get that nice and hot on the stove. You will need some hot water and a little bit of sesame oil just to finish them, and some tongs obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start putting them in, and we just want to get them nice and brown on the bottom. And I tend to do these in batches because I think if you put too many in, then you can overload your pan a bit and it gets a bit much. But put a few extra in. Okay, that should do it nicely. There it is. We just want to brown those off on the bottom, so you can just leave them to cook away. And then, as I said, what we're going to do is we're going to pour some water in, and then you need a lid and put the lid on and let it steam up. I don't really have a lid for any of my pots that are big enough, so I'll probably just let the water cook through. There'll be plenty of steam on them anyway. They don't take long to cook at all. You're talking maybe 5 minutes, really, 5-10 minutes maximum. So I just want to get a nice brown coating on the bottom, and then we'll pour in the water, and then just basically let the water evaporate, and then add a little bit of sesame oil just at the end. You need to be really careful when you're adding the water in, because it's obviously, there is oil in that pan, so it's going to fizz up and steam up and spit everywhere. Because your mixture's cooked inside, you just wanted to bring that back up to temperature. If you hadn't cooked your ingredients inside, you would need to cook them for a lot longer just to make sure that they're fully cooked inside. So we're getting a really nice coating on these now. Really nice and brown. Move them around the pan a little bit, because obviously you get hot places in pans sometimes. So then, now they've got a nice brown coating on the bottom, what we're going to do is, I've got some hot water here. Remember to be careful, because obviously the oil's going to spit. Now I've poured that water up to about halfway up the dumplings, and obviously this steam coming out here is from what is going to help cook the dumplings. And we're just going to cook those until the water evaporates. So what I'm going to do is, this is kind of my lid, I'm going to just pop that on just for a minute, just to make sure that the steam's really getting to the top of the dumplings. Okay, so that'll be the water sort of evaporated off now. Take off the lid. You can see that in the pan there's not much water left in there, so we'll just let that last little bit sort of evaporate. They do stick to the bottom at this stage, but once we've had the sesame oil, they'll start sort of like frying again, and they will unstick, and that's kind of one of the ways you know they're ready, when they start to unstick from the pan. Just that last little bit of water drain away. And then I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of sesame oil over the top, and get that extra added flavour of adding the sesame oil in as well. If you don't have sesame oil, you can just use normal oil. I wouldn't advise using extra like olive oil or extra virgin olive oil, because it'll get that olive taste into it, but any sort of sunflower oil or vegetable oil is fine. Starting to come away now. There we go, that's all we're doing. We start taking these out. And as you can see, nice and brown on the bottom. There we go, dumplings cooked, ready to eat. As I say, you can do them in batches, so I'll do another batch and do them, but that is one tasty looking Gyoza dumpling. You get some dipping sauce. You can just use soy if you want, but I would get some soy sauce and get some bit of chilli, a bit of garlic in there, maybe a bit of sesame oil, a little bit of vinegar, and then you can just dip them in there and eat them, and they will be great.